Martha, in that interview with General Dempsey, you report that Kobani, the key Syrian town on the border of Turkey, is likely to fall to ISIS control. Can you talk about what the significance of that town is in that location?
Well, the significance is if Kobani falls, and there are thousands and thousands of people in Kobani, it's right there on the border with Turkey, you will basically lose all of northern Syria to ISIS. And you've also got Turkey not doing much about it. They are basically, you can see over the border, reports are that you can see the bombing over the border, you can see what's going on, but those tanks, those Turkish tanks, are not moving. They're just sitting there. They'd obviously do something if ISIS started moving over the border, but even General Dempsey said to me, ISIS is not stupid enough to do that. So basically, you've just got all these towns falling in that northern border area with Turkey. You've got refugees flooding over the border. General Dempsey did say to me that he was not sure about what would happen if they really did overrun the town. There were terrible, terrible reports of slaughter coming out of there. One intelligence officer from the area saying that he believes there would be slaughter within 24 to 36 hours of 5,000 people. General Dempsey said he wasn't sure of that. He thought there might not even be 5,000 people left in that town. Also said it's really hard to target now. It's really hard. I know they've done a couple, I think, in the last 24 hours, some airstrikes there. But when I talked to General Dempsey, he said they're having an awfully hard time just finding targets in that area because what ISIS has done is really adapted. They blend into the population more. They don't have really an infrastructure like a regular army. We've bombed out the training camps already, so I think it's harder and harder to find these targets.
Martha, is the Pentagon comfortable with the mission that the commander-in-chief has given them?
Well, I think they're certainly comfortable with the air campaign. I think they feel they have good control of that. I was out on an aircraft carrier a couple of weeks ago in the Persian Gulf, and boy, those missions were nonstop. But one of the things I did notice is a lot of those planes, a lot of those fighter jets are coming back with their bombs still attached, going again to General Dempsey's comments about they just don't have the targets. Do they wish they had ground controllers, those guys on the ground who can say, this is where you should hit, I don't think we'll have collateral damage here, I can see the enemy from here? Yeah, I think a lot of people wish they could do that, but they also know the political realities that they don't want boots on the ground. And they'll tell you that they can do it in other ways, but really to have ground controllers there would really improve the ability to find more targets and to more accurately target from those airplanes.
Martha, yesterday the State Department spokeswoman Jen Psaki was asked if she could name one tangible area in which, since the bombing had begun, where we could show that we'd made appreciable progress on this mission against ISIS, and she had a hard time doing that, at least in the moment, sort of stumbled around a little bit. On the basis of your reporting, can you name an area where tangible progress is reportable?
Well, I think when you say tangible progress, I think you can say, yes, things have been disrupted, but I think you have to look at it a couple of ways. I think you can say, yes, they've disrupted the enemy. They might have disrupted some plans. They might have pushed ISIL back from areas from Baghdad. I mean, I was over there in June, and believe me, they were nervous that Baghdad might fall, that it might be overrun. So right now, they're not as nervous about that, although I do think they're getting closer to that area. But when you look at it two ways, it's okay, so they've disrupted that, but ISIS has clearly moved to other areas. So then you have to move troops to other areas. Then you have to move the airstrikes to other areas. They haven't taken back any of those big cities. They haven't taken back Fallujah. I mean, Fallujah fell last January. It's been almost a year since Fallujah fell.
Martha, in just about a minute we have left. Turkey is in the headlines, and how do you explain to Americans how a NATO ally needs to be cajoled to help protect its own border by the United States?
Boy, I can't explain that one, and I know that is a huge frustration. I could tell with General Dempsey yesterday that is a huge frustration, that they're not doing anything. They are not, I mean, they're just not worried about ISIS coming in and getting them, I guess. And until that happens, they're really not going to do anything. They're pushing the Turks in any way they can to try to do something, to try to be more involved, but it just hasn't happened.
But what kind of arguments, quickly, what kind of arguments is the U.S. government making with the Turkish government?
Well, I think they're making the arguments that you've got to protect those borders. You've got to help us in this fight. You've got to go in and not worry so much about Assad, but worry about the immediate threat. The same kind of discussions the U.S. government had. What's more serious right now, the threat from leaving Assad in, or the threat to the West and to the United States? And that's the decision the U.S. has made. It's not the decision the Turks have made.